and it's a warm Saturday morning, so I'm sorry if you're hearing my fan. I wanted to do some updates quickly and also try to see if I can get this Saturday live stream going in the future. So those of you who have been to my channel know that I've been working on this bag, and I had paused working on it for a bit because after redoing the handle and increasing the stitching, I think I overdid it, and yes, I will have to redo and maybe reduce the 26 single crochet stitches to maybe 20 because it's a little too thick. I think my ideal would be something like this. So that would be around 6 or 8 stitches less. I had increased from 16, which was too thin. This is 26, so maybe I need to go to 20. In any case, so this is the bag. I had also started the handle on the other side so that I'm able to hide it in the knot. I will do a separate video on this, but just wanted to give you an update. I'm also getting back to paper crafting and working on my journal. So I've been working on sections, which is the way I've done my previous art journal, which was from around 2019 to late 2021. Let me just put this aside. So I'm going to do a video reveal of this art journal so I can get started on the next one, which I haven't done in the last 2 years. So I work in sections. This is repurposed manila folders. So I work in an office and we do run through manila folders like paper. And so I cut them up and I sometimes use other cardstock, like this is linen. And I paint and draw and journal on it. So this is something that I want to get back to very, very badly. And I'm starting to gather resources and finishing up these books, and hopefully I can do a video reveal of this art journal very soon. So that's something that I've been looking at. I'm also starting to look at resources for my next art journal. I have sections I'm thinking about, and one thing I love to do is look at magazines for inspiration and for cutouts and other resources. I usually don't use them straight from the magazine. I would photocopy them, like for example, this flower, and I would use that only because I've found that magazine paper is usually very thin, so it does not render very well as part of a collage. However, I discovered that Real Simple, I think it's this one, Real Simple has a different type of green, which I just love. So I was going through their June 2023 issue, and there's a lot of not just inspiration, but material to use here. So I looked to magazines for color combinations. Sometimes I cut out words. One time I found myself sitting down, going through maybe 3 or 4 magazines, and I spent the entire night cutting words. And of course, I haven't used them. So this time around, what I'm trying to do is go through the words and just pick them out as I go along or as I go through the new section. One section, by the way, that I always read is the book list. And I'm very intrigued. I read the synopsis, the recommendations. I'm very intrigued and I love to read. So one thing I'm planning to do is one of these days, I will purchase all the books that have been recommended and work on reading them. Good luck with that. So there's, as I said, there's a lot of inspiration and color. So for example, this would make for a nice background, I think. Uh, this would make it for a nice graphic as part of a collage. Again, I'm sorry for the fan, but it is hot in New York City. These days, we're in the thick of summer. So I wouldn't think of using the entire graphic, but maybe the girl on the bike. But then biking has no relevance to me because I don't bike. I'm very lazy. I don't exercise. My form of relaxation really is crafting. So, for example, I see this and there's a lot of possibility with the letters. I mean, I can cut them individually or I can cut words. When I look at titles like this, I look at the letters, the size, and everything, and I say, "Ooh, that's something I can use." In fact, just to show you what I did, so one thing I did use something like that for was, is it here? My mom had a birthday. Oh, I think it's the other section. And I had used it forward. Sorry, it wasn't there. So, like I said, so for spreads like this, when I look at it, I look at the flowers and see, oh, that would make for a good corner cutout. I can use this alone and then discard the rest, or I can use it and just cut around the makeup. This would make for a very nice bottom graphic. Can you see? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was off cam. So this would make for something pretty at the bottom of the page. Usually when I find stuff like this, I don't like cutting it up from the page. I make a copy of the page and then I cut it up from there because there's just too much that's useful there. And here's another nice spread. And this would, I can cut through this. You just need the right scissors, and I have the fine scissors to do that. And I just love, I think these are pennies. Okay. And more. So see. So for this one, I'm planning to cut them out and maybe save them or make copies and save them. So for example, this alone is a very, very good standalone. I just don't want to pull it up and then leave you. This is a very good standalone floral graphic, right? So many possibilities. And like I said, I love going through magazines and looking at the things that they have put there. I love pink. So this is my page and my color. I've also been watching other videos, and if ever any of my layouts or any of my projects are inspired by others, you will find links in the description. So this would be one whole page, because if you look at my journal, if I stick to this same page, it's going to be this size. This is 5.5 by 7.5, and I love cutouts. So I have foldouts, cutouts, etc. So there's a lot of secrets, and it's very interactive. So this is my birthday page. Sorry. I put in a lot of my photographs also, whether it be of me or other things or things I observe. And I want to do that again. I have so many photographs to share that are just sitting in my photo albums on the phone. So this one, for example, I can just say look, and that's already a word for a layout. The way I do my art journal, though, is that I prepare the pages ahead, and then I go in and attack. So color inspirations. I think they did it 2 covers, which because this is advertising and this is the main magazine. This alone has so much beauty. I mean, I can use parts of it as letters or part of the drawing. I can cut this out to symbolize something. I've already cut these pages from another magazine, but it's glossy. So like I said, I don't like working too much with glossy paper. I think this is from Living, Martha Stewart Living, because they don't hold too well on glued pages. I don't really use collage gel. I usually just glue them on, and then sometimes I use different types of paper. Speaking of which, I love working with all these textures and different types. So I brought home some of the paper I usually work with. This is a bunch of handmade paper, not by me. I bought this when Papyrus was closing its stores in New York City. And I got a lot of them on discount. So I love the way they incorporated a lot of natural elements like leaves and petals. I have one that's all roses. I also got some handmade paper from a papery store, of course, papery, that closed shop maybe before the pandemic. This is some of my spray ink work. If you can see, there are borders here. So what I do is when I do spray ink, I put what I'm spraying under or on top of other medium that I can work with later on. So for example, this one was under something and then I spray painted and then I finished it later and added to the empty spaces. So for example, here you'll find some borders. So I'm going to do separate videos on that, the whole process that I use. So I also brought home some. These are actually return labels. Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm covering my address. So these are return labels for orders I did with a department store, which I will use to make my own washi tape with. Yes, I do print my own, and I'll show you how I do it again on a separate video. So what I use here actually is the adhesive backing. So you need to put your masking tape on top of the adhesive backing and then I print on it. So that is what's going on with me. Top of mind right now is I've been working on cleaning up, I'm sorry, this antique albums that I got. And this is one of the bigger ones. It's actually the biggest. And I've been cleaning it up and trying to, I might have sort of ruined the leather, but I plan to restore it, and I've been working on the very ornate design. Pretty, right? And inside are just empty pages. So the thought is, do I keep the pages? Do I take them off? Or do I keep some for individual picture matting? They were bottom loading, so you could see from here. And the binding was very good. That's what's making me think twice about actually destroying it, or rather disassembling. So the snap is a little off. Here you can see. But it's not beyond repair. I just haven't had the time. And it locks this way. So if you've been to my channel, you'll see I had a craft haul of the smaller albums. I haven't done the video for this one yet. But it's a gorgeous album. It's rather huge. My ruler is always away. Hold on. This one measures 9 by, as a page, 7.5. Yeah, 7.5, yeah, by 9. So it's, if I decide to do this as a special art journal, it's going to be a different size altogether. So one thing that I'm trying to do to get my creative juices flowing is to also work on a mini craft journal that I had decided on because I found this book. I bought this a couple of years ago, and I think it was because it was on sale because the dust jacket was not working anymore. So this is approximately, each page is 4 by 5. I like the paper. It's gilded in gold. It's actually pink bronze, I think, or rose pink. And it works in signatures. It was sewn in but glued, I would guess. And one thing I learned from one of the videos I watched, which I have to go back to when I start doing this, is one artist who was working with altered books, and I have worked with an altered book. My first art journal was an altered book. Again, reveal coming. You can see part of it midway through in my video playlist. But one of the vids I watched showed the artist removing signatures because, and she was right about that. You need to be ready for that portion of the altered book or that the journal bulking up. You know how you tend to put elements on the pages, and I figured that would work well for me because, as I said, I love fold outs. Like, for example, if I were to execute a page like this, you would have to make room for the fact that this is actually an extra page. These are extras too, right? So you can see I like working with dictionary pages. I paint over them, I print over them, but I like the way they turn out as backgrounds. These are digital backgrounds I purchased. And I like working with craft acrylic paint. So I use a lot of that. I don't really gesso, um, but I do work with different mediums. Oh, so sorry for that. It's glaring because I'm using an extra light. So, like I said, I'll be working on this. And this is somebody who wrote about how to be a modern princess. I guess a sort of a tribute to Meghan Markle. Um, and I think this is very good, or this will be a very good medium for a book about affirmations or words of encouragement. And it's very easy to work with because it's a smaller space. So like I said, I tend to work in sections for my art journals. And I'm just looking for one of the other sections I can show you, which hasn't been filled out yet. I think I have one here, but I have to reach out. And of course, here you go. This will show you my process, my real process for art journaling. So as you can see, I have them as separate sections, and the idea was I would work on them and put them together, which I haven't done, obviously. And I haven't done it because I'm missing a portion. So this one, I think I featured this in shorts. I used a birthday banner as pages, and you just have to be creative putting them together. You'll have to create sort of like binders or binding pieces. So I did it by putting pieces of manila folder, painting over them, and then after I had assembled it, I wrote on it. So there you go. It's something that only me, myself, and I understand. This one used Seth Apter's ink sprays, and which are very good and pretty colors, and they dry quick. And the only thing is that they don't react to water. Well, the batch I did, well, I bought it when he first released it. The batch I have doesn't react to water, so it doesn't react the same way as ink sprays. And maybe I'll do something like that for a future video. Oh, and this is the one where I told you I did some here. So these are magazine letter cutouts. So I think when I did this, I knew this was what I wanted to spell out, because otherwise what I do is I cut out the entire ad, or I cut out the entire portion. For example, for this one, I would cut this entire thing. And sometimes I would put it against one of the other backgrounds. So let's say rescue. I could pick rescue from there. Oh, something like this. This is the one I showed you earlier. There's so many possibilities because there's so many letters. I don't need to take the words. I can just take letters and create my own. In fact, it can all be the same letters. So those are ways for you to do your art journal. You can get letters from the magazines. It doesn't always have to be you rendering them. You can collage, and then you can take the entire title if you want. So that's how I work. I know the live stream is going everywhere, which was the point. I really just wanted to be able to talk and give updates on what's been happening. It's been a busy week at work. So I haven't really done a lot of crochet. I haven't, but I have been thinking a lot about the art journal. And that's how I decided to work on the smaller piece. I will cover it first. My first altered book, I had covered with masking tape, which was, I think, a mistake because in the end, I couldn't take all the masking tape out. I will try and do a reveal video of that. I'm very proud of that work because it was a very difficult time in my life, and doing the art journal was very therapeutic for me. And reading what I wrote and did in that art journal now actually is very, I'd say, self-revealing. So even this, when I go back, this was 2, 3 years ago, most of it during the pandemic. Um, it's a very good way for me to go back to what I went through and what I did. And it invites a lot of self-reflection, which I think what journaling really means to a lot of us, whether we do it with words, with drawings, with collage, with pictures, whatnot. Um, it helps us go back to that time and place. So see. So this is one thing that I had done during that very trying phase of my life. I had actually began sketching. This is layers and layers of different scraps of paper or printouts. And what I would do is I'd start with the middle, do the next layer, and then paste it onto the next. So it's collage and it's drawn. And again, separate video coming. So I'm very excited about this channel. Right now, it's my least subscribed to channel. So thank you to those who have been subscribing. I have another main channel on New York City, which is Pinay New Yorker link. And of course, my logo will be provided. It currently has 5,000 subscribers. Thank you to the people who have been watching. I have 2 other channels which are over 200 subs. And this one, I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, only has over 100 as of this recording. So I'm hoping to grow it. Thank you again for those who have been watching, subscribing, and sharing my crafting journey. Crafting is very important to me because it has always been a source of therapy, release, and it's been a journey. So I want to share the journey with people out there who are like-minded and who, like me, like expressing themselves through personal art. I'm 57, so this was when I turned 53, just to make that correction. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be doing more vids on the crocheting. I'm going to try to give you updates on that. And my antique photo albums are being cleaned and are in the process of being restored. But hold a sec. Let me just grab. Sorry about that. So one particular thing I'm thinking about right now is what to do with this. This is a freebie from my supplier, the guy who I buy the antique photo albums from. And It's all torn out. I didn't get the actual book, which is fine. But look at the clasp. It's really going to be a work of love to restore, but it's practically intact except for the fact that it's separated from the body. Because if you can see, they actually worked the back cover to the base of the binding. Incredible, right? So the thought is, do I do my next journal in this size, or is this going to be my next journal? So I'm thinking, any ideas? I'm thinking that this will be probably a different photo album, and I can put my family's, the older pictures that I have in hard copy, and I don't have negatives to offer digital prints of. And I'm going to work on restoring. It looks like there was a happy cat who had a lot of fun with the leather. And yeah, I thought this was cake mud. No, I actually ate into the binding, which is fine. I have leather paint that I will work with to restore. I'm torn about using this for something else. It's really beautiful gold gilded paper. It's cardstock on this side, but I use it as if I use this as an album, I will have to keep it. I'm thinking, do I sell or give away the pages? This can be photo matting. I can try decorating it, but it's a big decision because once I take it out, that's it. There's no putting it back. Binding is very, very good. As you can see. The mat. Excuse me. Oh, it might be the dust. I'm sorry. I'm going to edit that out. So for the album restoration, we have this. My video on the craft haul is really hauling. So thank you for those who watched. If you have questions, my email address is going to be provided. You can find me on Facebook, although I don't really check that much. Best way is to either send me a direct message on Instagram, maybe. All my handles are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I decided on Gotham Chick a long time ago because I wanted Gotham, for those of you who are not aware, is another reference to New York City. Yes, it has something to do with Batman. But a Gothamist or Gotham has always been a reference to New York. So thank you for watching my life. I'm going to try to do this every Saturday at different hours, unfortunately. So like next week I have plans, so I might do it a little earlier or a little later in the day. And I will try to do it for half an hour, whether anybody watches or not. Thank you. And I will hopefully be able to give more updates next time on what I'm doing and the progress beyond the videos that I am creating for each project. As you can see, I do a lot of things. I do paper, I do crochet, I also sew, I collect postcards, and I just love crafting. Thank you so much for watching. This is Gotham Chick signing off.